It's day one of Karen's Christmas movie marathon, and today we're talking about White Christmas.
What was that?
Bing Crosby. We're talking White Christmas from the year 1954. How old does that make it? 71?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because what was the movie we were talking about? Miracle on 34th Street, and I was off by like 20 years when I kept trying to do the math on that one. But this is directed by a guy named Michael Curtiz, and that's Curtiz with a Z. I don't know a lot about the guy, but it was 1954. I mean, I don't know a lot about a lot of guys back
Not
then.
a familiar last name either.
Yeah, it was written by a guy named Norman Krasna, and then he had a couple of other co-writers, but he's the top billed writer. I don't know a lot of these folks from this golden era of Hollywood, but I like to give them full credit if I could. It's starring Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye. And are there any other recognizable actors for you in this movie?
Rosemary Clooney.
Yeah, Rosemary
She's a big
Clooney
name one, yes.
is a real big star there. Of course, these days I think she's more famous for who her nephew is, probably.
Yeah.
And then her brother Nick Clooney was a big local personality for my mom and my uncles when they were growing up in Eastern Kentucky. He worked for a TV station in Lexington, and he was like the guy that they would send out to like every weekend he'd go to a different high school and like host a sock hop, and they would show it on TV. So he would do like the school dance party, and he'd go all through Central and Eastern Kentucky. So Nick Clooney was a big star for my uncles and my mom.
I remember when we lived here 20 years ago and he was running for office and they called him Looney Clooney.
Yeah.
That's all I remember.
Oh, that is pretty
Looney
hard to
Clooney.
forget there. Now,
and then we kind of discussed the one lady.
yes, it was not who I thought it was.
Oh, man.
I looked
Okay.
up her name, and it's like Vera Ellen or something like that, and that's why it kind of rhymes with Debbie Allen, but it's definitely not Debbie Allen.
No, the lady from The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, yes, I didn't even look her up. The lady that plays the nosy housekeeper in this movie, we think is probably the Wicked Witch from The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Because she
Some of the
certainly
things
has
she
that
said.
flair, and it's the right time period,
Yeah.
maybe. Of course, this is about 15 years later, so I don't know if she looks too young.
Well, she would have
or
been a
not.
little older. She was
Yeah.
young in The Wizard of Oz.
And also, my memory has as many holes in it as some well-aged Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
So I can't really say a whole lot more about that. It was made for a budget of $2 million, and that's $2,1954. And it got 15 times its budget on the reported box office, $30 million. So, you can't beat a Christmas movie, especially, I mean, this is 1954, so they've got almost 25 years before home video comes around. So every Christmas, if you wanted to see a Christmas movie, you're going to the theater. So they probably showed this thing somewhere every Christmas for about 20 years.
Yeah.
When I saw it in the theater around Christmas time. It's still a nice big screen experience. This is the part where I have to tell everybody that I can't talk about things without spoiling them. Karen over here, she loves to spoil the things she talks about. So I just got to tell you that you may not want to go any further if you have not yet watched this 71-year-old Christmas classic starring Danny Kaye, Rosemary Clooney, and Bing Crosby. That's White Christmas. Or you can just take a walk on the wild side and watch through anyway, because like I always say, I'm not your dad. Okay, so here's my synopsis. And for the Christmas movies, I might get just a little cheeky on the synopsis. Is that okay?
Sure.
You can have. See, you're not used to me being cheeky. You're used to the always serious, very straight-laced, stiff fella over here.
Yeah.
But I'm going to get a little bit cheeky on this one. So 10 years after the end of World War II, a couple of privates throw a pity party for their retired general. What do you think?
I guess that's right, but we had this discussion about how many years and when the war, because it said December 1944
Yeah.
was the start of the movie. And then we were like, well, was that the end of the war? Well, we don't know. When was Pearl Harbor? Like, we had this like
Yeah.
big argument, and you said, well, I think VJ Day was in 1945.
But VE Day might have been in 1944. Anyway, they
Yeah.
said it starts in December 1944. The movie was released in December 1954.
Yeah.
So I just say 10 years later.
We're assuming 10
Yeah,
years, but
I-
we don't exactly know.
And I'm always the first to say, man, I make mistakes every day, so I could be wrong. Is
So,
that
yeah,
fair?
but that's pretty much. Other than the 10 years, I'm going to be critical of all of your synopsis.
Well, that's okay. If I'm working for that $10,000 a piece kind of money, I need some criticism to help me build it up. As long as it's constructive, I can handle it. I can handle it. Now, the first thing I guess I want to ask is what I always ask when we're starting these off, and that is, how did you first discover White Christmas? Because it took me a long time to get around to watching this. I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, I was raised by my grandparents, so I feel like it was on in the background, maybe, whenever it would come on broadcast television.
Yes.
Maybe we had it on. I think I remember the song White Christmas more than the movie, because we had one of those radios, one of those sound systems in our old house that had a speaker in every room.
Yes.
And at Christmas, my grandmother would turn on the radio, and I remember specifically that song being played throughout the house. But the movie,
Yeah.
even though it was on, I don't know if I just didn't pay attention to it. It didn't stick with me like some of the kid movies and cartoons and things when I was growing up. So when I watched it the other night with my grandma, and then again in the car, because I feel like I didn't pick up on everything,
Yes.
I think those were the two times that I actually sat down and watched it all the
Oh,
way through.
okay.
Like, I kind of knew the gist of the story and what was happening, and I think I've seen bits and pieces, but not from beginning to the end. So
I gotcha.
I discovered it a long time ago, but never really watched it.
You know that big record player that your grandmother gave us? That big Victrola, or not Victrola, whatever
It's
that
actually
huge...
a record
Yeah.
stereo.
But it had some albums in it, and one of the albums in it was a Bing Crosby album that had White Christmas on it. So even after we inherited that, we've played that album for the kids back before
When they were
the
little.
needle broke on the
Yeah.
record player. But yeah, we used to even still play that around Christmas time in our house and have a little dance party when we were in North
Yep.
Carolina. So do you think that this movie counts as a musical? Because while I'm watching it, there's a lot of musical numbers, but within the context of the movie, they're musical numbers. So can something be a musical if the song and dance isn't spontaneous, if it's like part of a show?
I think it'd be considered a musical, because a lot of those movies back then were like that, though. They had songs and dance in them, like West Side Story
Yes.
was on TV. I remember watching that
Yes.
one, and it had a lot of like dancing and singing and stuff, and then it became like a Broadway musical. So maybe it started out this way. I don't know. Have they ever made a White Christmas as a Broadway musical?
I don't know if they have, but the
I think it'd
most,
make a great one.
when we were watching it in the car, that's what I was thinking the whole time, is this is just picture perfect for holiday community theater productions for every Christmas,
Yeah,
But
just
I've
the way
never
they set
seen,
it up and have the moving parts within the movie.
and I've never seen a stage production of this, but it's just begging to happen. So if there is, maybe I need to do a little research before I open my mouth, but it really would be a good one for it. If there's not, maybe we got to look into how do we make it happen.
There may be some kind of like protection on it that says
Well, Irving
it
Berlin-
can't be
And Irving
can't be turned into one.
Berlin, wrote the song, so
Yeah.
you can't do it without all the music rights. So that might be a
I
bit
mean,
of a
like
hang
The
up.
Sound of Music was turned into a musical. I mean, like a theatrical
Yeah.
musical. But I feel like this was like the genre back then. A lot of those famous movies that we liked have
Oh,
spontaneous
absolutely.
dancing and stuff.
That golden age
I
of
would
Hollywood
consider
kind of
it
stuff.
a musical, but maybe like was it played at the movies first, or was it a made for television.
What, White Christmas?
Yeah.
Oh, this was a theatrical release.
Oh.
Yeah, this was made for theatrical release.
I would consider it a musical. It
Yeah.
has a lot of singing in it,
I
a lot of
think-
dancing.
I think we can go ahead and just say officially White Christmas is a Christmas musical.
In our, according to our,
So
like.
if we ever make a list of favorite musicals,
Our
White
expertise.
Christmas is eligible, right? And we are the world's foremost experts on Is It a Musical?
Yeah.
That could be our new show.
That'll be-
Is it a musical?
yeah.
We just take any random thing and decide,
Yeah.
is it a musical?
I think that'd be great.
So these sisters here, Rosemary Clooney and the other lady, and they sing that song that's really pretty catchy, No Mister's Gonna Come Between Me and My Sister, and they have the whole feathers and their little song and dance routine. But I wonder if they've built their whole career out of just traveling from resort to resort and only performing this one number. Because it almost feels like that is their whole shtick. Their whole gimmick is just this one song, like in a variety type show, and then they move on to the next resort.
Yeah. But then how did they, but I mean, I'm trying to understand that they didn't pay their bill at the hotel,
Well,
but they were performing, so.
So we're going to
Were they getting
rewind
paid?
a little bit because this movie opens up and it's kind of like the first thing that we see is that these girls, ladies, women, whatever, are trying to skip out on their bill. But there's also this idea that maybe they were being scammed by the guy that owns the club because he had claimed that they burned a hole in the carpet and they were going to have to pay to replace the carpet, and that was going to take all the money they were supposed to be paid to perform plus $200.
Oh.
And that's when Danny Kaye or Bing Crosby, one of them says, "Oh, the old burned a hole in the carpet trick. We got to get you girls out of here."
Yeah.
But I don't know if that really is a scam or if they're just saying that because they're trying to get those girls to spend a little time with them, especially Danny Kaye has ulterior motives here. So I don't know who's scamming who here, but there's clearly a sheriff trying to arrest these ladies, and you get to have a little bit of fun with that sheriff. So I like the idea that these are real, vaudeville, carny type people that are just as much crook as they are entertainer. I
Yeah.
kind of like that little twist there. I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah.
When they do escape, they're going to where their next floor show is, which is this place in Vermont, and somehow they get the train tickets that belong to Danny Kaye and Bing Crosby, so they have to get out on their own way and kind of jump on that train, and they sort of rendezvous with the ladies and follow them to their next show. And it feels just a little too random, just a little too convenient that this next show is at a resort that their old general owns. Like, they didn't go there on purpose because he owns it. They
Okay,
just happened to bump into
We talked
him.
about that too, because
That's like so random.
Yeah, because you said because I was trying to figure out how they went from there to there and how they ran into him, and you said, "Oh, they specifically went there for him," and I didn't think that's the way that happened as well. So.
And it's
was
also,
random.
boy, it is a different time. But it is sort of hard to say, like, oh, around the holidays, we should all get together and actually think about those retired generals who own resorts in New England. Who's thinking about them at Christmas? It's not exactly like a Tiny Tim situation
Right.
here. Bob Pratchett or Ratchet or Cratchit. What was his name?
Oh, Cratchit.
Cratchit? Yeah, so it's not gonna ring at your sympathies as well as some other Christmas movies will, but kind of building on that, Danny Kaye comes up with a little scheme to have, well, he doesn't come up with the scheme, the sister, Rosemary Clooney's on-screen character's sister, comes up with the idea of if she gets a fake engagement, then her sister won't feel like she has to take care of her and she'll be free to get engaged herself. And I wonder, is this kind of like a little reverse of the Taming of the Shrew? I'm looking for Shakespearean through lines here.
I don't know, maybe.
Because nothing says Christmas like Shakespeare.
But they weren't being pressured by their dad. It was just the situation
Yeah.
that they were in. She kind of put herself in that situation. But the sister, yeah, I think it was really all her idea. But also Danny Kaye's character was trying to get the other guy to settle down with a girl anyway.
Yes.
You know, before all this, before they met them, and they conveniently met these two beautiful girls.
And Danny Kaye's motivation is that Bing Crosby has been working so hard, and with Danny Kaye being his business partner, his co-producer, that means Danny Kaye has to work too hard. So he figures if the guy gets married and has 9 kids, then Danny Kaye will at least get 45 minutes a day of downtime.
Yeah.
So he keeps coming back to that 45 minutes. But
Yeah.
that is the whole scheme here. It doesn't really seem to work. It kind of blows up in their face and backfires and leads to the old mistaken identity. Or not really mistaken identity, but the whole rom-com mistaken idea, I guess. But this movie really covers a lot of territory because we've established it's a musical, but I could say it's also a romance, it's also a comedy, and it's also a war movie.
Yeah, yeah.
So
it hits all of them.
This is like in those days when you were going to the movies, you know, you might only be able to afford to go to one movie a month, so you had to get a little bit of everything in there, right? So the golden age of Hollywood is great because of that wide scope of their storytelling. Since this does have Bing Crosby and Rosemary Clooney, two people that are famous for their mellifluous voices, there's going to be a lot of music in this movie. There's going to be a lot of music in this movie that we've established as a musical. What do you think of the music? Because Christmas movies depend on their music sort of the same way that horror movies depend on blood, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So how was the music overall in this movie? Is this your jam, this style?
I mean, it just depends on what kind of mood I'm in. I think the only song that really sets us up for Christmas is the White Christmas song. And then the other stuff is just kind of like
Just
filler,
songs.
like emotional, something
Especially-
at the moment.
The choreography song, which is just making fun of the term choreography, got nothing to do with Christmas.
No.
They're all in their berets
They're
doing their
just
modern
good, like dance,
Yeah.
fun things.
The
I
s-
really love the dancing in this,
The
not
snow-
just the music.
The snow song is sort of Christmassy because it does sing about snow at least.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, that's more like a wintertime thing. You could sing that any time other than Christmas. But the Counting Sheep one is probably one of my favorite songs in the whole movie.
Oh, that is a good one.
Yeah, the one where the two of them are singing together. And it's more of a ballad.
I would have thought that the sisters might have been. Well, let's
Oh,
go
I
ahead
have-
and get into it.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite song from this movie? I'm going to take the cheap way out and just say White Christmas because, man, that's a banger.
It's iconic. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and I
the
love
one that gets
trying
played
to-
all the time. But
And people with a more baritone voice like to sing along to that instead of It's Cold Outside.
Yeah.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
I do like the sister song because that one sticks in my head all the time. But for some reason, the Counting Sheep one also stands out. And I don't know if maybe it was played a lot, you know, when I was a kid. But like when I was watching this, the songs that were being sung actually came back to me, that I remembered how they went and how the harmony was. So I feel like they're in there somewhere for some reason. So maybe I did pay attention, but not pay attention, you know. And it could be because of that record too. I think that record that we had of Bing Crosby may have had that song on it, and maybe it was played a lot, you know, in my childhood. So I really do. I like the sheep. I like the Christmas one, but I really like the sisters one too because that one is just very like poppy and
I think it's very catchy, and I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm going to use our authority as two random people who watch this movie to say that this movie deserves the credit for coining the phrase "sisters before misters."
Yeah.
What do you think? Because they say no mister better come between me and my sister, but then they kind of contradict themselves and say no sister better come between me and my man. So I don't know which way it goes. Who comes first, the man or the sister, the chicken or the egg?
I think she's saying I'm more important than any of those people.
Now, here's a question for you that I've been thinking about. The central premise of the movie is that the poor old general is losing his shirt running a resort in New England because there's no snow. And who wants to go to a New England resort in winter if it's 65 degrees? So my question for you is Bing Crosby's voice so majestic that it can control the weather, because it does snow after Bing Crosby sings a big song.
Yeah.
And they open up the barn doors. It's like they open the whole wall of the
Yeah.
barn. I don't know how they do that, but they do show us it's snowing outside by the end.
Well, that's how they get everything into the building.
I
The
guess.
back of the. It's like opening up the garage or the back of the theater.
It makes sense. If you've got like a mechanical harvester or something like that, you're going to need a big old barn door to get it through.
Yeah, it was a ski resort though.
Oh yeah, so like
They had a
snow
big
blowy things.
stage,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they had a big-
They're built for this.
They
aren't
had a big stage, so of course they're going to have, like all the theaters that I know of have a big back garage, garage door, so that you can get big props and things inside. But that was interesting, the way it just kind of
And
opened
then
up.
they had
and-
the rotating stage, so the Christmas tree and stuff could rotate out of the way. But yeah, White Christmas is my favorite song from it, specifically the big performance at the end when they're in those beautiful Santa regalia kind of clothes with
Mm-hmm.
the tree and the kids come out and do their ballet. It's a beautiful number.
Yeah.
But just before that, they do a number where they recreate a World War II battlefield. And you didn't really think that was a great idea. And I could see where if some of those folks were suffering from PTSD, they may not appreciate that. Is that
Yeah.
kind of why you were
I
saying?
think we know a lot more about PTSD now than we did back then, and I'm sure a lot of those people are suffering from it. But like, I didn't think that it was cool that they recreated a building that was half,
it was
standing, half
bombed
blown
out.
up.
It
Yeah.
was like a bombed out
And
church
had
or
like the
something.
background as in like that they were still over there, for the war. And I understand, but why couldn't they just have an American flag or something like what they did with like Captain America, and just
Yeah.
had like just something patriotic back there? They didn't have to recreate the space that they were in. And
I also wonder how they did that on short notice, because that was pretty elaborate.
yeah,
And I didn't see a set building crew with them. It
Well,
was just the four of
it
them.
might have been a painting. Somebody could have painted
Oh,
that.
wait, they did call in their whole team because their job is production. So they got a whole team. I do remember now they called
They
their
were
crew
building.
in. Yeah.
They were building stuff when they were there. So I mean, but that was pretty fast. Like, what is the timeline of this movie? When is it right after Thanksgiving, and they have 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks before Christmas? Because it seems like a lot happens within just a few days, if that's what it's supposed to be.
I don't know. Sometimes the
Sheesh.
way that these old classic movies move, especially a musical like Oklahoma or something, it's probably like they came to town on the 23rd and they did the big show on the 24th. I mean, they do ludicrous things with time
Right.
sometimes.
Well, and then they build things, but then they've got all these choreography, these
They
dress
go to New
rehearsals.
York and do a special TV show.
A ton of dress rehearsals. Like, yes, when is all this stuff happening? So.
Well, just like we did with the Thanksgiving movies, there are going to be a few movies here where the tie isn't obvious. I think the tie is pretty obvious with White Christmas, but let's go ahead and talk about what is the Christmas tie here.
They're performing on Christmas.
And that's almost the only Christmas tie, that and the song White Christmas, and they dress like Santa. But this really could just be a winter show,
Yeah.
right?
Giving each other presents. I mean, they were giving each other gifts there by the end.
So did you have any memorable moments from this? Like, is there one moment that's your White Christmas moment?
I think my favorite moment was when they dressed up like the sisters after they helped the sisters escape.
That was a
And then
good
they
one.
came out, because I wasn't expecting that, because you saw the sisters escape.
Yeah.
And then you see the feathers, and then when they pull the feathers back, and it's the guys dressed like the sisters, and then they're actually singing like the sisters. So you
They're
don't realize
lip-syncing,
that
yeah.
they're lip syncing, because I didn't know they had those capabilities
either.
back then. But I thought maybe they would have sung it on their own. Also, that scene is kind of weird too, because the sheriff chased them after they get off the stage. Well, how come they didn't do it while they were on the stage? You know
Well,
what
you
I mean?
can't interrupt a good number.
Well, you never know.
The
Like,
show must
I
go
mean, you
on.
can do anything.
I
in a
do love
movie.
the show must go on attitude. Do you have a best character? I mean, we have 4 or 5 principals. Do you have a favorite character out of those?
My favorite was probably the sister that
The non-Rosemary
the
Clooney sister?
non-Rosemary. Yes, and I think it's because her dancing. Oh my gosh, I commented on it every time, and it's not like the character that she played, I guess. I think it's the dancing is what I enjoyed the most about her.
She's a heck of a dancer. And
Yeah.
that tapping thing with her foot
Yeah.
It looks like a human shouldn't be able to do that. Like, I don't know, how would you explain it? She just does ultra fast toe tapping.
Oh, the
in one
toe
of the
tapping, and
scenes.
it had
Yeah.
like
It was so
she
fast.
had to have some kind of like the metal stuff like clogs underneath her heels though.
Yeah, so she could do two taps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's just like
It
oh
was
my
amazing.
Lord. And you said, "Is that real?" I'm pretty sure that was probably real.
It looks superhuman.
Yeah.
I mean, it's impressive. She's
Yeah.
got my respect on that one.
She could dance, and like she was so enthusiastic, and she had nice long pretty legs, like we were talking about that too. But I don't know if I enjoyed her character as much as her dancing. Like she was just phenomenal. I could see why they picked her for that. But I guess another character that I enjoyed was probably the lady, the secretary or the housekeeper at the resort, because she was really funny. Like some of the zingers that she would say. The one that we said was maybe the Wicked Witch of the West.
Yes.
From Wizard of Oz.
The busybody.
Yes.
She even was a self-admitted busybody.
Yeah,
I
there
like
was
that.
just some funny things
She
that
said she was the president of the local busybody chapter.
Right. Yeah, those were funny.
Did you see any themes beyond Christmas? Because I think this one has a lot of, at least a few different things that you don't even need Christmas in it, and it's got themes.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not really sure. I don't know if I could pick a singular thing, because when I told you about how I felt about this movie, I was the storyline was just weird. There was no point to the story. You know what I mean?
It was an excuse to do a bunch of musical numbers.
Right. It was just kind of like put together. It was almost like those jukebox musicals that we talk about, where they take a bunch of songs that they like and they build a story around it, you know? So I don't know. I can't see anything. Maybe something about settling down and being happy. I don't know.
I think there's something in there about
thankful about the war ending. Be grateful. I mean, it could be.
I think there's something in there about work-life balance years before that term was ever used.
Yeah.
Also, this is made, in the first decade after the end of World War II, and I think we had an influx of veterans like we had never really seen since the Civil War.
Yeah.
And there's this question like, we probably shouldn't just throw them out and forget about them.
Right.
I think that's something here too. So maybe some veterans needs, and think about your local veterans. I don't see a whole lot beyond that. A trope, it's not really a theme, but it's a trope that pops up from time to time in movies and shows and stuff, and that's a good stage production can solve any problem.
Yeah.
We can save anything with a good stage production. Now we come down to it. We're going to give it two ratings. First off, we always give it a report card grade based on whether or not it has enough Christmas spirit. So we're going to go ahead and give it the mistletoe grade for Christmas spirit, A through F. Does White Christmas get a passing score for Christmas spirit from you?
I'm going to give it a B. I mean, it's an iconic, classic. It touched a little bit on Christmas, at the end, but I think it was really built around that song.
Yes.
So maybe, the Christmas spirit was, getting together with family, and don't forget the veterans and stuff like that, because the war had just ended. I think also it was made, what you said, 1954. So it was still 10 years later, but like never forget, and be appreciative of those people that did these things for you so you could have the freedoms that you have. So Christmas spirit, I'm going to stand firm with a B. I mean,
I think
it could have done a little more Christmas.
I think I'm going to agree with your grade, the B, but that's only because that last number really saved it. Where they got on, some of the most beautiful Christmas gear I've ever seen on stage.
Oh, yeah.
And they just have that beautiful, very Christmassy stage production. They open the doors, there's the snow. That just, boom, hits you with Christmas spirit right at the end. But if it didn't have that big ending, it's going to be struggling to pass.
Yeah.
So I'll go with the B thanks to that big ending. But of course, what people really want to know is how many boughs of holly do you give this? From 0 to 5 boughs of holly. How do you rate White Christmas?
I mean, I'm going to give it a 4. And I think that's because I had to watch it a couple times to get the gist of what was going on, because the storyline was just so weird. And some of the things that you said you caught, I didn't catch. And I was like, oh, well, did I not pay attention to that? Because I feel like I've paid attention to it. It just didn't capture my attention as much as I would have liked for it to.
Yes.
And because I had to watch it multiple times.
Yes.
I think it's the music and the dancing that like stick with me more than anything.
I think you're right. Which do you think was better here, the music or the dancing?
Oh gosh.
You really loved the dancing.
I think the dance, well, I think the music was probably better because it's memorable. The dancing, like, I feel like I just saw it for the first time. You know what I mean? And I enjoyed watching it again the second time. But it was like I paid more attention to the action and the rehearsals and things than I did with the storyline and what was going on too. So, yeah, I want to say the music is probably memorable because I remember that from my childhood. So
I think I'm with you on the Boughs of Holly too. I'm also going to give it 4 Boughs of Holly. It's an iconic Christmas movie. The music is why you watch it. This is the perfect one to like have on in your living room on Christmas Eve when family's over, because you don't have to watch the movie to enjoy the music.
Right.
And you can just kind of look up at the screen when you want to. The story's pretty thin, so you don't have to worry about trying to, like, you're not going to miss any twists in the plot.
Right.
So yeah, it's a solid 4 Boughs of Holly, a B on that spirit grade. Any other parting words before we say goodbye?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Well, you know, it's Christmas. I hope Santa brings you everything you deserve if you're on the nice list. And if you're on the naughty list, well, being naughty is its own reward.